The Evergreen Media Network Studio, powered by Scott Tree Services.
Treasure Coast Connector, connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Well, welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. Treasure Coast Connector is the talk show, an online community where we put a spotlight on interesting local businesses and resources, then connect them to you, the consumers in the community. Everyone has an interesting story of why they do what they do. When we learn about what's happening in our own backyard and support local businesses, it strengthens our local economy. For details on the show, links to discounts, promos, past interviews, check out www.tcconnector.com. So the real estate market on the Treasure Coast is healthy and, it's getting better. There are so many new homes being built. And you know what we're still having to deal with is a little bit of competition from cash buyers. And, it can, make, I guess, the conventional loan people a little bit nervous, the people that buy their homes with a loan. Well, joining me in the studio today is Paul Pykosh, and he is a mortgage loan consultant with Newamerican Funding. He has lots of programs, including how to help these buyers, give them a competitive advantage against the cash buyers. And we're going to get into it right now. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ellen. I appreciate you having me.
Yep, very happy to have you here. And you are not new to this industry at all. You are new-ish to Florida. You're a few years in already.
Yeah, 3 years in Florida, but 29 years, and who's counting anymore in the business?
Well,
and
you were 12 when you started, for goodness sakes.
I think it's going to be 29 years for a long time.
Okay, good. I like that, actually. And before we talk about Newamerican Funding and all of the programs and what's happening in your world, what made you want to become, a mortgage consultant and get into this industry?
Well, it's an interesting story, but I'll keep it somewhat brief. I started off as a psychology major in college, and I worked in the mental health field with troubled youth. And I was a rec counselor, a rec therapist, special ed teacher, helping some of the students that got kicked out of public schools, the sort of conduct disorders and rough and tumbles. It was a passion of mine to help turn around some of those lives, and that was very rewarding to me. But I always had a passion for real estate and finance. I grew up in a house with my mom as a realtor and my uncle was in finance. And around the kitchen table, that's what we talked about. I was trained to answer phones for her in the real estate business, and I got my term papers typed by the secretary in the real estate office.
Nice.
I was around it all the time, and it's in my blood. And it became a time for me in my life to do it. And I changed. I missed working with the kids, but at the time I just had kids of my own. So what I did is I started coaching my own kids in their sports and stuff to sort of meet that need of mine. And then I went off and into the business world with mortgages.
Okay, well, very good. If you are not aware, we have a lot of nonprofits in Vero Beach. Yeah. So I bet you with some of the ones that deal with kids. Okay, he's looking for something to do on the week. Just kidding.
No, that's okay.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you were a coach. Great. Okay, you're going to be very popular and busy at all the networking events. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, you mentioned nonprofits. I actually helped start a nonprofit back in Maryland for low-income homeowners and also people with disabilities to help them retrofit their homes to meet their, if somebody just got a disability and they can't walk all of a sudden, we got put ramps into their home and did some of that work too, but that's another chapter.
Well, that's very nice. Okay, so now we have people, especially you here up in the Northeast and the Midwest, right? It's cold up there. They've been in their homes for decades. They have a lot of cash, right?
Yes.
They sell their homes, they come here, and they're able to buy their houses with cash, and that is fantastic, and it's irresistible for the sellers. So what happens with someone who needs to buy a home with a loan? I liked your website. I thought it was pretty cool after we met. Let's talk about that.
Yes, we have come up, Newamerican Funding has come up with a program. We call it NAF Cash, NAF Newamerican Funding. cash offer program. So what we can do is somebody that needs to finance, we can have one of an organization that works with us, it's part of our company really, but buy the house in cash for them and then sell it back to them. Now, why would someone want to do that? Well, in a market where there are multiple offers and cash offers are winning a lot of bids, and also a lot of times cash offers aren't the highest offer.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right.
Because a seller that's motivated and wants to close quickly may take a cash offer for a lower price than a financing offer for higher. So it's not always a case where it's the highest bid. It sometimes could be the best bid for that particular seller situation. So anyway, we can help someone that wants to finance, especially if somebody has a house to sell. That's a big thing. You have a house to sell and you need the proceeds of that sale to buy another house. You have to write a contingent offer, a contingent upon the sale of your house. And sellers don't like that. They don't want to have those contingencies. So what we can do is we'll say, okay, you want to buy a house? You need financing? Let us buy it for you in cash. You can even move into the house and we'll charge you a small rent relative to what the house is. And then you can vacate your home, sell it vacant. And then when you sell that house, then we'll give you the financing and sell the house back to you. It's a great program for that situation.
Yeah.
It eliminates the contingency and they can buy the house and, it just works out very well. Now, what's the downside? Like, where's the catch, right? Okay. Everybody wants to know that.
Yeah. What's the catch,
I'm sure you're not just going to buy a house for somebody and just give it back to them. Like, come on, there's got to be. Well, there is a lot of fees involved when a lender or anybody buys a house. There's closing costs, and there's actually closing costs, and we're going to pay cash, and then we're going to sell it back to them, maybe closing costs. So what we do in that situation is there's a service fee that gets added back to the price that we sell it back to. And what makes our cash because other lenders have a cash program. What makes ours different is those lenders oftentimes will charge that service fee as an additional closing cost. What we do, we add that to the price and sell it back. Now, the fee depends on what state it is. We're in 50 states, so but in Florida, it's a different fee than it is in Maryland because closing costs are different. And, everybody that wants to know how this all works for their particular situation, I can get into the weeds of that when, if they want to call me. But no, there's a service fee and that's how it works. But here's how it's justified, though. If you're getting a lower price because you're offering cash, that justifies the service fee. So if you can get 8%, 9% off the price because you're offering cash and a quick close, 12 to 14 days, then your offer is now really much more competitive, and therefore the service fee is not as much of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot, especially, when you're trying to navigate, multiple transactions and it's just, oh my goodness. Yeah. So that makes it just a lot more easy on the brain of the person that's going through, because there's a lot of emotional, we even talked about that in the green room. Yes. It's very emotional for the person buying or selling their home. And so that just makes it a lot easier. I like that a lot. So another thing that has been happening, when I bought my home, my husband and I, the interest rates were in the threes,
Yes.
3s and 4s. Lovely. And that was really an anomaly, and then, rates have slowly creeped up, and we're not going to talk about interest rates exactly. We're not going to get into that. But what a lot of people are thinking, well, if I just hold back for a little while longer, the rates are going to go back to that. And I say, don't worry about that. Like if you are, adding to your family and you need to, be out of an apartment into a bigger home, or you're, older and you're downsizing, don't try to wait, right? Just go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I will say a couple things on the rate front.
Yeah.
The rates were so low for as long as they were artificially. It took a worldwide pandemic to get the rates as low as they were. The only entity that was buying mortgage-backed securities for a while was the Fed. And No other institutional investors weren't buying it. Individuals, there was no money coming in for mortgage-backed securities for a while. And that drove the rates down because they needed them to be down.
Yeah.
They needed to have something to spur on the economy, and it worked. We're paying for that now because those days are over. So people that think that we're going to go back to those pandemic rate lows, they may be waiting for a long time because heaven forbid that we do have rates that low. It may be because we have some other worldwide emergency again.
Right. Okay.
And let's not hope that happens.
Yeah, no more. No more of that.
And so the chances that happen aren't very good. So you got to deal with the here and now. The here and now is the rates are where they are. Maybe they come back down somewhat, and let's go with that. Okay, let's say they go down 1% between now and 6 months from now. Well, if that does happen, most likely what will happen is there'll be even more people wanting to buy because more people will be off the fence and wanting to buy. What happens when more people are trying to chase after fewer goods is inflation and prices come back up. So you might get a lower rate 6 months from now, but you also might get a higher price. So here's the situation. You can always change your interest rate should rates go down. You can't change your sale price once you buy that house.
Yeah.
So think about that a little bit too. If it's the right time for you to buy, and I'm not trying to sound salesy about this,
right, yeah.
But if it's the right time for you to buy.
Yeah.
And then if rates come down in the future, then refinance. It's not as complicated as it might be, especially if you're a first-time buyer. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I refinance. What's that? A good mortgage professional will walk you through all that stuff and will be a mortgage lender for life.
Right.
I have clients that I've been doing this for 29 years. I've done their refinances. I've done their purchases. I helped them buy their second home. Now I'm helping their sons and daughters buy homes.
Yeah.
So that's...
I remember you when you were 12.
I'm not doing loans
How
for
are
any...
you 22?
I'm not doing loans for their grandkids yet. I'm not that long in the business. So let's not get too carried away. But that may come someday soon. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now what we're going to do, you know what, Cindy, we're going to take a break in a moment. Yeah, she's waving that sign already.
Okay.
Before we take a break, though, for the first half, tell everyone that's watching via iHeartRadio and the podcasts how to connect with you directly.
Okay. Well, there's two good ways to reach me. One would be my email, and that's paul.pykosh@nafinc.com, and I'll spell it paul.pykosh@nafinc.com. And my cell phone, I'm giving my cell phone out, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
301-351-9883. 301 is an area code from Maryland. Go Maryland.
Very good. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And are you going to talk about sports now? Please don't do that. Oh my gosh, rivalries.
This is not the sports show, but we could always do that.
We can turn it into that, but we have a lot more to discuss about mortgages. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Print advertising isn't dead, it's as strong as ever, especially in 32963. It's Mario from 32963. Reach every single home and business on the island with me, Mario, in 32963. Find me on Facebook, Mario 32963.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats and chairs in all the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Riverside, Universal, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of Berlin Gardens and Bollywood. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of name brand closeouts and sale items. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. How would sunshine day? Supper, dinner, whatever you call it, Marsh Landing has perfected it. Come have a taste of what we've been making from scratch. Big heaping portions of Old Florida specialties, from frog legs to catfish, steaks, and homemade dessert. Enjoy supper or dinner at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere.
Sturgis Lumber is the most trusted hardware store in Indian River County, and it's so much more than just lumber. Sturgis stocks stainless steel products such as screws, bolts, and threaded rods, power tools, hand tools, and saw blades, construction supplies like caulking and cement mix, all kinds of painting supplies, even propane refills and tanks, and plumbing and electrical parts. Stop by Sturgis Lumber at 4645 US 1 in Vero Beach. True value quality with a hometown smile. Sturgis Lumber and Hardware.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I've been chatting with Paul Pykosh of Newamerican Funding and all about mortgages. And it's just, you know why? Because things are cyclical in every industry. But Florida, we seem to be a little bit more resilient because everybody wants to move to Florida because it's the land of summer and sunshine, you know, which is what brought you here from Maryland, me from Long Island. Don't hold it against me. I went through the Floridification process already. I'm one of those calmed down New Yorkers.
Oh, okay.
I'm just, you know what I just did? Oh my God, I'm going to get hate in the, I know. Oh my goodness. Cindy is like now feeling bad for me. But we were talking about the cash buyer advantage, right? So you and Newamerican Funding clearly are thinking outside of the box. So what other programs or not programs, but services do you have to offer for people looking for loans?
Well, a couple things that set us apart. I mean, we do all the standard financing, the conventional, the jumbo, the FHA, the VA, all that, you know that most lenders have. A couple of things that we do a little differently. We do a lot of work with down payment assistance programs, and it all depends on the area and the county. There could be some local, there could be some state, there can be some national programs that are out there. So I don't want to emphasize one over the other, but we have many of them. Some of them have to do with where the house is going to be when you buy it, and some of them have to be based on where you currently live. So, and you can buy anywhere. There's a lot of different layers and guidelines and rules to these programs, but the best thing to do is call me or a mortgage professional and inquire what's going to work for you. But those down payment assistance are helping a lot of first-time buyers that just quite haven't had enough time to save up for their down payment. Maybe they have some, and maybe they need a little extra to get them over the hump. So that's one thing we do. Another thing that we do work, and me personally as well, I helped a couple of mortgage companies in the past start renovation loan divisions. So renovation financing is something where, say somebody wants to buy a house, and let's just use the number, say the price is $400,000, but it needs a new roof, there's flooring damage, the windows aren't hurricane windows, and
like a fixer-upper.
Fixer-upper. So right now, the inventory is a little bit low, so we have to think outside the box. So if the inventory is low and the properties that somebody wants to buy are slim, but they find something like this that needs work, we can help them get financing for that. It would be one loan that they get. Let's say it needs $90,000 worth of work or whatever, $100,000, just to make things simple. It works. It's a little more complicated, the figures, but let's to make it simple. Let's say we add $100,000 in renovation costs to that $400,000 home. Well, we can give them a loan for $500,000 because we base that loan on the future value of the house, not the current value.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it takes a lender that understands renovation financing, because there's a lot of pitfalls to it. And there's some complications, a lot of steps that are involved. The contractor vetting, there can be a consultant that's involved from HUD. All those things have to be navigated, and someone that has done many of these, and I've started mortgage programs for that, you want to deal with an expert. Yeah. And Newamerican Funding has experts, and they have a great division, and that's one reason why I'm there, because they have all those tools and programs. You know, we like to say we can do it all. If it can't be done at Newamerican Funding, it's probably not going to get done. Now, is there going to be one or two things that we might not be able? And that's probably true, but the vast majority of situations we can cover, and that's one of them. Renovation financing is a strong point.
Yeah.
like I said, down payment assistance is another one. But those things and the cash offer program set us apart from the average lender.
Right. Yeah. Because, I remember years ago, people really were just so used to thinking, well, I have to have 20% saved before I can even think about this. But then with FHA, it's like 3.5%. But then there's programs where you don't even need necessarily a down payment. Or am I speaking incorrectly?
Well, there are some that you can do, like a veteran, a VA loan is 100% financing. That's one example. A lot of times it's a combination thing. Like you can do an FHA loan, which is 3.5% down with down payment assistance to fill in the other 3.5% down. So essentially they're financing 100%. Or there's different tools and financing options for individuals, and everybody's different. Everybody's needs are a little bit different, and that's a good mortgage professional will sit down and counsel and say, okay, let's assess this. It's just like a doctor would. Let's assess the situation and then give recommendations based on that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have somebody talking to you if you're buying a house, especially for the first time, that doesn't have all the tools available to them. There's a lot of great lenders. I'm not saying I'm the only one out there. A lot of my great friends are in the lending business, so I'm not the only one out there. But you just want to make sure you're talking to someone that understands, the programs that are out there, and also takes a little time to understand you.
Right.
Because everybody's a little bit different, and without knowing, my customers and my clients, I am not going to be able to recommend the best thing for them. So I take a little time to get to know them.
Well, very good. And now, so the first-time home buyer, they're just, they're nervous, they're excited, and it's like, they just sometimes really don't know what to do first. So give me just a couple of pieces of advice for the first-time home buyer.
It's important to get a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification. There's a little bit of a difference. A lender that talks to somebody on the phone or in person and run some numbers and can say you're qualified for X, or you can even go online and do your own mortgage calculations to figure out what you might be qualified for. But a good mortgage professional will go the extra step and get somebody pre-approved. And let's say we say, all right, well, let's get your documentation. Let's get your W-2s, your pay stubs. Let me learn a little bit about you. You say your income's $75,000. Well, how do you get paid that $75,000? Is it a salary? Is it are you a 1099? Are you a hairdresser and you write off your taxes, or do you get a W-2? Those things make a difference on how we qualify for help you qualify for a loan. So I take the extra time to know those things, because that's going to make a difference. And then I'll go the next step. I'll give all these documentation to an underwriter and have them sign off on your approval. So that makes you much more competitive in what you can qualify for. When I write a letter that says somebody's, approved for a loan, I'm putting my name on that letter, and I take it very serious. Yeah. And the reason I say this is my reputation in Maryland, and it is going to be in Florida too, is when I write a letter, I want the listing agent to see, oh, it's Paul, it's good. Because I do it right. I have integrity, and I make sure it's going to go the right way. I take extra time to get to know somebody to make sure it's going to fly.
And you had that reputation among the realtors where you used to work up in Maryland. It's not going to take you long for that to happen here for you. Yeah. So we have like less than a minute, but there is Pathway to Homeownership Initiative. Can you tell me what that is in 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's one of the closing cost assistance programs that we have. It's from Fannie Mae, and that's available to those that are qualified, mostly first-time buyers, and it's a way to get some cash for down payment, $7,500 if you're qualified for it.
Okay, and how about your email and your cell phone number again?
Yep, email Paul Paul .Pykosh Pykosh at NAFinc.com, and my phone number is 301-351-9883.
Very good. So I'm glad that you mentioned about all of these programs, because, we have people, it's just it's a hot market here. There's just so much going on. And I just want to say thank you so very much, because we have all types of people in this market, but especially for the people that are new to it. Ask questions, ask for help. call Paul and he will help you. That's what I have to say. So thank you very much for being here. And thank you everyone who is listening and watching. My name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. I hope everyone has a safe, productive, wonderful week. And until next week, I miss you already.